Presumptuous man, the reason wouldst thou find why form so weak, so little, and so blind? First, if thou canst the harder reason guess, why form no weaker, blinder, and no less? So when we hear about this idea of the great chain of being, we start to question it, right? But what does Pope say here about that? That's presumptuous, right? Ask of thy mother earth, why oaks are made taller or stronger than the weeds they shade. It's like, well, why am I in the station that I'm in? Why? That'd be like asking Mother Nature, the earth, why are oaks taller than the weeds? Because they are. That's how they were made. It'd be like asking, why does the moon orbit the earth? Why doesn't the earth orbit the moon, right? That's the way things are. Of systems possible, if 'tis confessed that wisdom infinite must form the best, where all must full or not coherent be, and all that rises, rise in due degree. That's right. So wherever we are in life, in the great chain, that is our station. That is where we are meant to be. There must be somewhere such a rank as man, and all the question, wrangle e'er so long, is only this: if God has placed him wrong, right? So if we're in our station, right, if we have risen to where we're supposed to be, is that right? Did possibly God put us in the wrong place in this divinely ordered system, right, that we're calling, that Pope's calling, that everybody's calling the great chain of being, right? So then Pope gives us some examples to help to explore this idea, right? Going through and looking at some different things we see in nature, right, with the ox, right? In ancient Egypt, the ox was revered as a deity, but now what does it do? It pulls the plow. His actions, passions, beings, use and end. Why doing suffering checked, impelled, and why this hour slave, the next a deity? Then say not man's imperfect, heaven in fault. Say rather, man's as perfect as he ought. His knowledge measured to his state and place, his time a moment, and appoint his space. If to be perfect or in a certain sphere, what matter soon or later, or here or there? The blessed today is as completely so as he who began 1,000 years ago. Oh, that's a nice line. Then say not man's imperfect, heaven in fault, say rather man's as perfect as he ought. So what does this recognize? That as human beings, we have certain strong points, certain abilities, but not everything, right? There's certain things that we can do that animals cannot do, right? Human beings, we have reason. Animals don't have reason. But there's certain things that human beings cannot do that only those in the higher realms in the great chain of being can do, right? So thinking about this idea, wow, what do we see here? Heaven from all creatures hides the book of fate. That's true. Our book, our lives, what's going to happen with the book of our life, our life, we don't know. All but the page prescribe their present state, from brutes what men, from men what spirits know, or who could suffer being here below. Think about what your life would be like if you knew how it was going to end. What would you do every second of every minute of every day? That's all you would think about, would be how you could avoid the death, right? Your fate that is already written down. We shouldn't think about this. We shouldn't worry about this. And we get an example, another animal example, by Pope. The lamb thy riot dooms to bleed today. Had he thy reason, would he skip and play? Pleased to the last, he chops his floury food and licks the hand just raised to shed his blood. Oh, blindness to the future, right? Would a lamb be jumping around, playing in the field? Would a lamb do that if that little baby lamb knew that his purpose on earth was to be slaughtered for our food? Probably not. He would be leading a very unhappy life. So, what to do about this? Hope humbly then, with trembling pinions soar, wait the great teacher death, and God adore. What future bliss he gives not thee to know, but gives that hope to be thy blessing now. Hope springs eternal in the human breast. Man never is, but always to be blessed. The soul, uneasy and confined from home, rests and expatiates in a life to come. What does Pope tell us? That we get hope, right? That is one of the gifts that we have. Hope springs eternal in the human breast. That the life book that we all have is hidden from us, and remember, that's a good thing. One of the consolations of this is hope. Lo, the poor Indian, right? So Indian here, we're talking about the Native Americans, right? America has been discovered and colonized at this time in history. And the settlers, right, the colonists had encountered the Native Americans. That gets back, pulled into the text. The poor Indian whose untutored mind sees God in clouds or hears him in the wind. His soul, proud science, never taught to stray, far as the solar walk or Milky Way. Oh, isn't that cool? Right? Recognize that Native Americans, they don't know about astronomy and science, right? His soul, proud science, never taught to stray. Interesting here what the author is doing about knowledge. Sometimes when we acquire knowledge, it kind of upsets things, right? We tend to get out of our station, out of our sphere, and we try to overreach the plan. We try to become better than we are, try to reach beyond. Yet simpler nature to his hope has given, behind the cloud-topped hill and humbler heaven, some safer world and depth of woods embraced, some happier island in the watery waste, where slaves once more their native land beheld, no fiend's torment, no Christian's thirst for gold. To be contents his natural desire, he asks no angel's wing, nor no seraph's fire, but thinks admitted to that equal sky, his faithful dog shall bear him company. That idea that we have the knowledge that we're supposed to have, right? We have contentment. We're in the place in the great chain of being where we're supposed to be. What would happen with upsetting the nice gradations, right? These dependencies that are just. And pride, and reasoning pride, our error lies. What is pride, right? Everybody knows that. That's one of the 7 deadly sins. It's the deadliest sin of all. Thinking more of yourself than is true. And you can even, if what pride can do is you can even think that you're better than God. And pride and reasoning pride are error lies. All quit their sphere and rush into the skies, right? So now we're upsetting the order. Pride still is aiming at the blessed abodes. Men would be angels, angels would be gods. Aspiring to be gods, if angels fell, aspiring to be angels, men rebel. And who but wishes to invert the laws of order sins against the eternal cause. So what do we see? Upsetting the order, this plan, the great chain of being, is bad, right? Our station, our sphere, is where we're supposed to be. If we upset our sphere, it would be the same thing as when the angels rebelled against God and upset the divine order. So how things are is how they are meant to be.